Stream might be a little choppy right now. Might have to reset the modem, but we'll give it a second and see if it works. Hello, SA Art. How's it going? I'm doing alright. There's not much going on today. It's just answering emails and stuff all day. Haven't done one of these in a while. I have to remember how to do it. Might take a few streams to get it finished all the way. Oh yeah, I've used Painter a couple of times, but never very long. You might be frustrated with the brushes for a while. They're a lot, I think, simpler, or they don't have as many features. Hello Neosonics, how's it going? I'm doing okay. Like I said earlier, I was just answering emails and stuff all day today. Not much drawing time. I actually have two different ways I work. I actually do both. For most of those kind of painterly pictures on the left there, I started out in black and white and added color afterwards. But for the kind of more animated look stuff, if I have any over there, I think so. I kind of started and I did a line drawing, then flat color, and then added value to that. So I kind of do both ways depending on which one I want to emphasize, I guess. For this one, I'm probably going to do it in black and white first, and then add colors. But for my comic stuff, I do like the flat color and then add shading on top of that, kind of the opposite way. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've done that lighting scheme so many times. I'm pretty good at. I can remember it basically. I can do that in my sleep almost. I've done it so many times. But other lighting schemes, you just have to kind of learn each one separately, and it takes a while. You get really lost. Just when I think I have it figured out, then some new problem comes along and I'm totally lost. I don't really have good reference for this guy. I'm just gonna have to guess on a lot of stuff. Was there any sound at all, or was it just like stuttering? Yeah, it's pretty useful to watch people be able to do it in real time. It's one of this creative channel with Twitch is pretty cool. Hello, Kyoku-chan. Thanks. It's taking a little while to finish this one. Screw something up. Hello Val, how's it going? Doing something here. Not sure what it is yet. I haven't done one of these in a while. I had to look up some reference and stuff. Couldn't find a really good reference in this guy, but I think I can fake it for a while. This one might take a couple of streams, so I'm sure I'll finish. I'll probably do it in black and white first and then add color to it later. Yeah, for my comic stuff, I usually just start with the color as soon as I can, and then I add like the lighting on top of it. But for these, I usually do the opposite. I just do the values first, and then try to make color out of it eventually. These guys aren't going to be super colorful anyway, so I think I kind of like to give them that, like, almost like a Rembrandt, the way everything's about the lighting, really. He just kind of glazes on color slowly. Oh, thanks. It's taken me a while to figure out how to do the videos, but they're getting better. The sound was kind of screwed up sometimes, but that's alright. That's alright, I'll see you later. I'm sure you'll be around later. Super dark with this thing. See you later. This guy's face is just kind of a mess. It almost looks like it was burned up or something in one of his experiments. He's the scientist guy. That's what I'm trying to do. yeah, with the Patreon videos, I'm just gonna, you know, hopefully explain everything step by step eventually. Thanks for contributing, man. Appreciate it. Certainly don't have to contribute that much, but every bit helps. Thanks, Val. Yeah, I try to be as interactive as possible in there. I thought it'd be a lot trickier to paint and talk to people at the same time, but it's not so bad. I think yeah, they said it takes like over the process of days or something. I mean, it takes a couple of days for all of them to go through. I'm not sure. It's kind of weird that they only charge like at the beginning of the month, and there's no way you can really get around that yet. You know? This is CS7, I think. Yeah, I think it's CS7, which is actually several versions old, but it works fine. Anything with CS in the front is fine, I think. Whatever, or later, I mean. Yeah, this is a Cintiq 21 UX. It's a couple years older. I downloaded the newest version of Photoshop a couple of weeks ago, but it was a real memory hog. It was taking up a lot of resources, so I'm not using it right now. I'll switch to it eventually. I just got some on my computer, but it was not running well. Yeah, use a Cintiq. It's not really necessary though. I've used tablets before too. I've never tried any of their competitors. whack up competitors. I forget the newest version of Photoshop. It's like CS or CC 2015 or something. I think they go by year now. I'm not sure. I just do the subscription thing, where it I forget how much it is, like $15 a month or whatever for forever, as long as I want to use it. I'm just starting sort of with the darkest values and building it up as I go. Try to make sure everything is, there's a definite light side and a dark side. I try not to mix those values up too much, although I'm kind of doing that right now. I have never been to SIGGRAPH. I think my brother's been a couple of times. But I've never been. I think that's more of a game design thing. I don't think they have a lot of more art and stuff there. It's a lot of kind of programming and stuff. I've been to E3 a couple of times. I didn't go last year though. The 2 years I went to E3, it was basically the same stuff. Like they just brought all the same, all the stuff from the year before. They just kind of trotted back out again. It's kind of dumb the second time. I want to try to go to PAX this year, or next year, but I don't know if I'll be able to. It's kind of hard to get into right now. I guess E3 is worth going to once, but I wouldn't recommend going a lot. I mean, I wouldn't kill myself to go. I wanted to try to go to San Diego Comic-Con whenever I was in Southern California, but they were always, the tickets sell out so fast. It's probably just super busy too. Craig Mullen. I don't think anybody can do his style. Although I guess it's kind of just does this kind of messy stuff, and then all of a sudden it's amazing. draw this eye in temporarily. I can redo that eventually. For these dark crystal things, I try to do them sort of like an old oil portrait or something, so I'm a little looser with these. Hello, Cypher. How's it going? Doing great. It's kind of a light day today, pretty much. Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of freelance lately, but it's gonna start up again pretty busy after the holidays. Just got a lot of work lined up. Yeah, it's either like you have no work to do, or and then out of nowhere you'll get like a few jobs from all at the same time. So you're just like you have no time to do anything. It's impossible to really schedule when you're a freelancer. Unless you're doing like a long-term sort of contract thing. think I might try to slap some color on this guy. Might be a mistake, but we'll see. Create a selective color adjustment layer. Go to blacks. You can adjust the color based on the how light or dark it is. So if you want to make the darks kind of make it a warm color, you can add red to it, and it just adds sort of to the shadow areas. I'll make the lighter parts a little bluer. Brighten it up a little bit. I was a concept artist at Obsidian, but I worked on this military tank game called Armored Warfare. It just came out. It's like very different than what Obsidian's really known for. And I didn't get to work on much else. There were a few pitches and things. I don't think I did anything for that Pillars of Eternity game. Or they were finishing up South Park when I started there. Or they weren't finished it. It was actually maybe a year before they finished. The South Park game was great. I loved it. But yeah, the work I was doing there was just like mostly environment stuff. Or it was a lot of sort of kind of like art direction. You know, it's just because a lot of the stuff that we were working on already exists in the world, so there was no reason to concept it. So I was just kind of doing a lot of mood pieces and explosions and you know, a lot of photo bashing and stuff like that. I did a lot of the loading screens for the game too. It was really more illustration than it was concept. But thanks for the follow, Dark Alchemist. This is CS7. Anything higher than that's fine. Some of the newer ones are they get a little memory heavy though. They're kind of memory hogs. Thanks for following. Fun dice. I add a little bit of color to these dudes. Actually, it's more of a grayish. Just a little bit. Yeah, that's what this is. This is the scientist guy. I couldn't find very good reference of him, so I'm kind of faking it. But I think I've done 5 or 6 of them now. I think about 6 of them. Eventually, I'll do all 9 or 10 of them. I guess there's technically 10, but one dies right away. So. Spoiler. One of his arms is kind of like this cyborg arm sort of thing. It's just got wires and stuff hanging out. Thanks, Alchemist. Appreciate it. Didn't see you post there. My work's kind of all over the place, I feel like. I've worked on so many different things. So I'm trying to develop sort of my own thing. Instead of just trying to get on everybody else's style, work. There's usually, with concept art, there's always a visual look of the game that you have to match usually, unless you're starting on it from the beginning. So that's what I try to do with work stuff, But then if you're not careful, you can just sort of lose your own vision for things. It's kind of got a lot of colors going on. Hey, Blue Pacific, how's it going? I was watching a little bit of you play Call of Duty today, just for a second. I'm doing alright. Not much going on today. Haven't had any internet troubles or anything. It's amazing. Oh, really? This computer might explode if I tried to play a new game on it right now. It's a little old. It's got a lot of memory on it though. Yeah, hopefully there shouldn't be any more problems. I don't know if you saw me add color, but that's... Now I'm just basically noodling stuff. Oh really? That sucks. I've blown a few, I've blown interviews. Like most people, I don't know, I always thought that if you got like an interview, especially if they flew you out to interview at a place, then you were pretty much in, but nope. I've managed to blow those too. And I don't know if I've ever gotten a job from doing an art test. Usually if I've gotten a job, they've just hired me right out based on my work. Usually art tests are kind of a waste of time unless they pay you. But yeah, Cameron, if you just add like a new adjustment layer, selective color, and then go. Is that right? I don't know what that is. Actually, I do it down here. There's a selective color thing down there. And you can adjust the colors by the darkness, so you can change the dark colors to different colors. That's how I add color. And you can always adjust things too. And then I make an overlay layer and just kind of overlay the main colors, their local colors. So. You probably have to replay the video to really get it. Yeah, it's a good experience. I've heard like Naughty Dog, like they give almost everybody a test. And I've done one before and I never got anything. And a friend of mine didn't, he's like the only guy I've ever heard of that didn't do a test there, and he got hired. If they like you, they like you. Yeah, I'm not sure how they're doing it now. They did a Kickstarter last year that I was on, and I got like a couple of free months on there. But I don't know how much it costs now. Schoolism, I mean. Hey, Sheeps, how's it going? Yeah, Cameron, I'm probably gonna put. I'll take these streams and then speed them up like 10 times or whatever, and put them on YouTube. So they're just like time lapses. There's a few of the full streams on there too. I would never. I don't think I could sit there and watch hours of a pre-recorded stream. Been following a few other artists. Are you talking about Naughty Dog? Yeah, got some really good concept artists there, for sure. One of the guys I used to work with at Vigil, he works there now. He's really good too. Richard Lyons is his name. Do I? Yeah, I get a few every stream. Slowly but surely, some people show up. I've just been watching other people's streams lately, and usually people will follow you that way sometimes. Thanks for the host, Alchemist. Appreciate it. Yeah, Naughty Dog is like... I love their games, but I'm not sure I'd want to work there anymore. It doesn't seem like a fun thing to work on if you're a concept artist, because it's, you know, everything they do is, you know, real world stuff. But it's kind of why I quit my last job. But their games are really good, and that's cool to work on something you really believe in. That's an old print I have. I have a store, but I'm not entirely sure about the quality of this print. It's on the website, but actually I think the new ones are really good, but the prints I had at first were really bad. But they've gotten pretty good now. But I've printed my own before, and it's just, there's not much demand for prints, I don't think. Especially digital art prints. At least not for me, anyway. I was talking to another guy, and he's kind of saying the same thing. Is like, people will contact you out of the blue and be like, "Hey man, if you make a print, I'll buy it." And then you make a print, and then they vanish off the face of the earth. It's like, why did you tell me you wanted it? You know, it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, zero followers. Yeah, I think the hosting kind of works if you were streaming yourself for a while and then you host somebody, but it's the thought that counts. Yeah, I don't have much stuff up there right now. Got some older Dark Crystal stuff in there. I might do like an art sketchbook or something. Put it on Gumroad or something. Sometime next year. One thing that was cool was when I started doing these Dark Crystal fan art stuff, I met a couple of the puppeteers and the guys that used to work at Jim Henson's Preacher Shop or whatever. So that was pretty cool. I've never met Brian Proud though. Yeah, they were digital. Oh really? Your second monitor died? It sucks. When I moved up here, the only thing that broke, and I was pretty amazed by this, usually I break a lot more stuff, but I broke one of my monitors. It was a nice one too. The other monitor I use is not one of the better ones. The colors are kind of bad. I try to look at all my images like on my phone and I've got a laptop just to make sure the colors and the values are match up. It's never perfect, but I think your images look different on every machine you try them on. It's very frustrating. You think it looks amazing in one screen and you look at it in another one and it looks terrible. It's like no matter how much time you spend trying to get your monitors calibrated right or whatever, it's just pointless. They never display the same. Short neck. Fix that. Do some surgery on this guy. Yeah, I'm just doing one layer. So this portrait stuff, I'm not too worried about a bunch of layers and stuff. If I screw it up, I'll just start over. A freaky fatal. Freaky fatality. Yeah, they need to use rogue guffling. All they have is podlings now. Getting this weird bump under my thumb. I think it's from drawing too much. It's like tendonitis or something. Yeah, I think my body's falling apart. There's always something wrong with it. I need to get one of those standing desks. I might do that next time I move. Do you have one? Yeah, I'd have to get a stool or something to sit on when I get tired. I want to get one of those robotic ones that that can raise and lower. You just press a button. They're super expensive though. I think IKEA has one that's kind of cheap though. But the ones I've seen are like $1,000. Yeah, somebody did a Kickstarter for one, and apparently it's really good. I don't know what you would call it. A robotic desk. I don't know. Hey Flan, how's it going? Is this the first time you've been here? I feel like I've seen you before. I know you're on Twitter now. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably gonna work on that stuff tonight, maybe later. Scurry stuff. I was working on the comic in my last stream a little bit. I don't like that. I don't know what these little weird alien horns are. They're also crazily detailed. It's amazing. It's kind of got this alien carapace. Oh yeah, that's pretty much. I think that might be the same thing. I need to get one of those. I'm gonna die at this regular sitting desk. Oh, I didn't? I think I hit every... Oh, you know what? I think I disconnected Twitter from my Twitch account because I was having internet trouble, and it would... Every time I would disconnect, it would send an alert out on Twitter. So I would just like spam like 20 tweets on there saying I was on. So I had to disconnect it. I need to reconnect it. Haven't had any trouble lately. I don't think people want 50 tweets from me. But I'm on like every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7, plus other times too. But those days I try to be here for sure. Yeah, probably. I do mostly environment stuff for my concept board. Although I'm doing more character stuff every day. So usually I like to do creatures on my own time. I don't really like doing character stuff that much because I don't really care about armor and costumes and stuff. But I don't do a lot of humans. Am I? I might have a couple of new contributors today. I haven't checked. I know I have one at least. I'm still not sold on Patreon, but I was just going to try it out and see. I know some people could really afford to do their own art because of it. I learned a lot about costume design just doing these Dark Crystal guys, because their costumes have so many different materials and styles kind of going on. It's really kind of impossible to render it all, so I don't really try, but just looking at this stuff is pretty useful. This guy's costume's kind of weird though. He's got one of these tubes and stuff going into him. I think this side of his face is supposed to be all burned up and scarred. He's got little tubes and things running into him. Advice about environments. Composition is really important, and I try to organize things into background, foreground, or background, middle ground, foreground. You can start there. There to start out with, and then you can add. I think you can add as many levels as you want. Some people don't think that. If there's generally something in the middle ground that's kind of light, or bright color, or is really lit up by the light source or whatever, then whatever is behind it, maybe I'll make it dark. And you can kind of do that all the way from back to front or front to back, where it's like there's something dark in the background, then light, and then something maybe dark in front of that, and light in front of that. There was a guy named Thomas Moran. He did that stuff all the time. This works really good. Look it up. Well, it's just ridiculous anyway. But you guys works amazing. But you can kind of see how he kind of he put something dark in front of something that's light, and that's in front of something that's darker. Maybe like a cloud shadow. A cloud's casting a shadow in front of it or behind it to make it really pop out. And for interior stuff like architecture and things like that, I'll just do like a simple SketchUp model, or maybe a really just a really basic thing just to get my perspective. I'll paint over that stuff a lot. Okay, have a nice walk. I'll probably be on for a little while, maybe another hour. So. I always try to keep in mind the light sources. There's, the light's bouncing onto this kind of shiny yellowish material, and it bounces up in his neck. So we'll see that. Plus, there's this other light source in the back that might show a little bit. To me, that's the hardest thing about, or I think a lot of people have problems with environments, is they kind of approach it like a character, or a character has like this kind of defined area, his body or his face or whatever, but with environments, I mean, that's usually the whole canvas, and that can be a little daunting to people. But if you can just break down the compositions, kind of simplify it as much as you can. Yes, they can be kind of overwhelming, especially if you just do creatures and stuff all the time. I was kind of forced into it because the first couple of jobs I had, there were these kind of big, giant worlds or maps and stuff, so we needed tons of environment art, a lot more than we needed characters and stuff, so I had to learn the hard way, or else just lose my job. So then you learn fast. But for like, sci-fi corridors and stuff like that, a lot of times I'll use 3D models or something as a starting point. Once I have the original idea kind of thumbnailed out. I think you have to plan ahead a little more with environments than you do with monsters and stuff. It's got these little mechanical bits over there. I'm just gonna indicate them. I'm not gonna get too crazy trying to detail them right now. Especially the back where it's not very important. I want to draw interest at things that you don't really care if anyone sees. Another thing I do with like environment stuff is I'll use fog or dust or whatever or smoke to really make things pop out in front of each other. Pretty much all my environment pieces have some kind of heavy atmosphere that I can use to kind of fade stuff out. For probably 90% of this painting, I've just used this one brush. It's just a flat, tilted brush. But occasionally I'll switch to this kind of fat, chalky one. I don't really use most of those other brushes. They're just there, taking up space. Skyshin, what's up? This is John. Yeah, this is the scientist guy. He's kind of you can't really tell in the movie, but he's got some crazy stuff going on. He's got like cyborg eyes, and one of his arms is like a metal arm. Can't really tell though. I'm not really sure how to do this texture. It's kind of this satin material. I'll just fake it. Probably needs a really strong highlight. I don't want to get too realistic with this. Or really weird. So just indicate it. Yeah, I can get to this point pretty fast, but basically anything beyond this just takes forever. All the just rendering forever. That's why I usually don't like to go further than this kind of level of detail. It's really all you need. If you zoom out, it looks fine. Just flatten this down. Crazy about the color. This clothing. Get a little dirtier. Here's this vial thing I'm going to try to draw. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Thanks, Neo Sonics. Appreciate it. This one's come together a little better, a little easier than some of the other ones. Some take weeks. You never know. I think the first one of these I did took me like a month to do. And I had no idea what I was doing. That was like 2 years ago, I think. Thanks for the follow, Red Eye Zerg. But now I can knock out a sketch of these in a few hours. Maybe a couple of days at most, if I want to add a bunch of lighting and stuff to it. That's no problem. I'll usually follow anybody that participates, you know. Thanks for the follow. Not sure about this glass thing. Probably have to do some studies on this. Do a bunch of bottles and stuff. Generally finding that stuff like that, hands take at least as long as the face, if not longer. Which kind of sucks because hands aren't really interesting to me. But you gotta take your time sometimes. If you want to do it right. Spikes aren't very good. He's got these weird things on him. Yeah, I can look at it. I'm not the best art critic by any means, but I can look at it.